Okay, so I wanted to talk a little today about something a subject I've been thinking about for a while, and it came about in an interesting way. I noticed that things kind of when you focus on certain things, um, you see these connections and synchronicities occur. And I suppose that's how this um, realm. It's how things work. I guess having to do with maybe energy. Um, the attention of the conscious mind. um but anyway, how it all came about, for me to talk about it today was, I was watching a video, um and it was from a couple, and they do a YouTube channel on travel, and they do food reviews, and it's a it's a pretty good, pretty entertaining series where you don't have to travel to these places in order to at least kind of get an idea of what they're like. Maybe if you want to plan a trip, you can plan accordingly. Things that you see on there, or different foods that you might want to try that you maybe haven't tried, or uh, food that's local to an area. But anyway, they were in the video took place in two places. Um, First in Oregon, and then in the state of Washington. So the second part of the video, they were in, I guess, Vancouver, Washington, which is uh, right across the border of Oregon, and they were looking across the water at Oregon, and they were saying it's the Columbia River that borders the two states. And I'm not a huge geography guy or anything, but I found it to be kind of interesting because you got Washington, the state, which is supposed to be named after George Washington, of course, and it's on the west coast, and it's bordered by the Columbia River, which, if you look across, um, the lower 48 to the east coast, you got Washington D.C., um, Washington, and the District of Columbia, which is its own entity. It's not it's not governed by a state anyway. Anyway, that's not important. But so there's this Washington and Columbia connection, right? And I was already thinking about this Apotheosis of George Washington. I'd seen it, and it it just brings this interesting thing about history, and how um, you know to me, history is written by someone or some people, and then it's written at a time where basically no one alive can dispute those things, right? Those facts. So I don't put too much stock into history in terms of, um, oh, because it's in a book, because it's the official story, that's what happened. I don't do that. But I do um, acknowledge that there are a lot of things that you can take the history, and then you can analyze, by looking at the the things that we can observe, things such as paintings, um statues, sculptures, these type of things. You can kind of decide for yourself, right? How does this apply? But anyway, there appears to be a lot of, like, Roman connections with the founding of the United States, and then for some reason you have a lot of Roman, but then a lot of the terms are in Latin for some reason, which, you know, if you look at the thing, they didn't speak Latin in Rome, right? So that's strange. Um, but at any rate, the subject that I was looking at was the apotheosis of George Washington. So because the inauguration was moved indoors, um, for the third time since, like, Kennedy, um, the apotheosis is is in the it's in the inside of the rotunda. Um, so it becomes topical. And it's odd because if you look at it, and again, I don't really ascribe, I mean, you can, we weren't there when it was painted. It said it was painted in the 1860s. Is this building even older than that? Is the painting even older than that? But we don't know. But even let's say it is what the story says, and the painting was made in the 1860s. Um, and so there were people alive that can attest to the fact that George Washington was an actual person that did all the things they say. Um, then you have to wonder, like, okay, why is he wearing purple? Why is he appearing among a pantheon of all these, gods of Rome? And then if you look further, directly below him on the painting is Columbia. Well, again, someone that's depicted as Columbia, man. In 200 years, I could say that it's Mickey Mouse below him, and who would know, right? And I could say that was Donovan Mitchell instead of George Washington, right? And who would know? No one would know, right? But anyway, the official story is it's Columbia that's directly below George Washington. So again, interesting because now again you have George Washington and Columbia, and so like why is he depicted amongst a pantheon of gods, right? Like is he is a man becoming a god? What does that have to do with the United States, right? And you have that, and then you look. There's all these other statues of George Washington. If you just do a cursory search, and there's a lot of them that depict him is almost like maybe what they ascribe to like Greek or Roman attire, where he's wearing almost like these robes, or like even like toga, or I'm not an expert on those type of things, but again, um, all these things from a long time ago, we can't confirm that these people wore those things anyway, right? So it's just something being ascribed to it. But anyway, um, why is he being depicted in this way? You know, is this person from another time frame? Were a lot of these statues already made and discovered? Um, and then well, this is there's so many statues of this one person that's like, okay, well, this is so and so. Okay, we're gonna call him this, and whatever. It's just an interesting you know um, thought exercise. Um, and take one of the most famous sculptures in the world, and it's the heads at Mount Rushmore. So when you look at Mount Rushmore, it's interesting because Native Americans have different, um, passed down stories about it. And if you look at it, it's not only is it not really completed in terms of like, they're in different states of completion, and like their parts of their shirts are done and not done. And when you look at it, it's it's interesting because like there's one place where it looks like something was completely you know um, knocked off. Maybe there was another face on a section and was completely just you know scraped off. Um, and then there's supposed to be room for another head, and so it's interesting because there was these there's some Native American passed on stories that say that the site is actually the Six Kings, which is interesting because then also in Roman, because again there's these Roman connections with the George Washington, that 6 VI, right? So Six Kings Vikings, right? Um, so it's interesting that when you look at these connections and you look back and you say, well, again, like I said, 200 years from now, um, you know, you could take like this Teddy Roosevelt that's on the on the on Mount Rushmore, and you could call him a different name if you want, and who'd know, you know? Um, so it's just an interesting, why is someone being depicted? I'm talking about George Washington. Why is he being depicted in all these ways that really have nothing to do with the country and the time frame of which it was founded? Now, I know there's a lot of um, statues. There's a lot of sculptures of him where, he's wearing, clothes that are ascribed to that time frame, right? Um, Among other ones which are more rare. There's less of them, I believe, that depict him in these what you would say would be like more ancient garb, right? Um, but here's the thing. Again, there's no photographs um, of a time frame. So if you look at the back of like let's say like the $2 bill, or you know you look at the way these guys are dressed, and it's like, okay, did they really wear these wigs, and did they really wear these like tights, walking around, uh writing or signing the Declaration of Independence, or you know when the Constitution was written, were they really wearing these 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 clothes? And then therefore, so now all of a sudden, now when you look at George Washington being depicted in these other sculpture statues, and he's wearing like the quote unquote period correct clothes. I mean, did they even wear those? Again, no one was there that's alive today for it's generations that there's no way for us to know. Do I think he was wearing that? Do I think they were wearing t-shirts and jeans? No, I don't think that at all. I think there was probably, even in the earliest times of what you would call the United States of America, that they probably, when they were working, um they probably had some, whatever the most formal um attire they could wear. I mean, I would assume that, because you know that's what they do, right? I mean, like if you look at like you look at these congressional hearings or anything, that you see that everyone's dressed, you know, whatever it is, suits, ties, those type of things. So I would assume that it would be they would be wearing those, the most the current times you know formal attire, but would that have been tights, you know um and these wigs? I mean, I think I've seen something with like I guess in Great Britain, where they have some type of parliamentary setting where there is somebody that's wearing this this wig. So is that tradition? Is that from way back? Who's to know, right? But I guess it's just odd to look and see this person, or this character, or this ideal, um, that's so ingrained into the country, where we have all these townships, um, the District of Columbia, which is the capital, where the capital sits. You got a state named after him. All these, there's universities um, that, there's no way for us to confirm, like, whatever he did or whatever he was. Um, so it's just weird. Anyway, it was just a funny synchronicity about how, certain things pop up and how you're kind of paying attention to them. But I just wanted to like bring that up and just, let people know that, like, hey, just keep in mind that, you know, the official story of things, question it. Maybe it's not exactly, maybe it didn't go down exactly the way they say, you know. Um, and you know, don't put people on a pedestal, especially people that you never saw, have no proof that they existed at all, um, except for stories, you know, and be a free thinker. And, you know, does it resonate with you, these things that we're told, because in the end, this life is short. And when it's over, there's going to be something more, and I think that's the important thing to keep in mind. Like, hold that spirituality, that side of you that's not here, and don't give in to, you know, falling for whatever someone tells you, you know. So make your own decision about that. But anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about, and that's it. I guess I'll talk next time. Thanks.